Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. This time, we've got something really interesting to dive into.
Yeah.
We've got this stack of material about consciousness and perception and, like, breaking free from old ways of thinking.
Really fascinating stuff.
It is. It's pretty deep.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to break it all down for you in this deep dive.
Absolutely.
We're even going to look at some commonly held beliefs like karma and reincarnation.
Yeah, those are definitely in there.
And we're going to see if those hold up.
Yeah, we're going to challenge those a bit.
Exactly.
See if those are really serving us or if they're actually holding us back.
Yeah, and how they relate to this idea of finding mental freedom and clarity.
Yeah, because that's really what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's about rewiring our minds.
For greater well-being.
Greater well-being and wisdom.
And I mean, who doesn't want that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what's so cool about this material is that it actually lays out a practical approach to do just that.
Okay, so let's get into it.
Yeah.
What's this practical approach all about?
Well, it all starts with understanding what the speaker calls old mind.
Old mind.
Yeah.
What is that?
So think of old mind as that constant chatter in your head.
Oh, like the monkey mind.
Exactly, that endless stream of thoughts we all experience.
Yeah.
But it's more than just the thoughts themselves.
Oh, that's okay.
It's about how we react to those thoughts.
So it's not just the thought, it's how we relate to the thought.
You got it.
Okay.
We cling to some, we judge others, we label them as good or bad or whatever.
Right, we're constantly judging our own thoughts.
And all that judging creates mental disturbance, a feeling of unease.
So it's like I'm arguing with my own thoughts all the time.
Exactly. It's exhausting, isn't it?
Yeah.
The speaker uses this great analogy. They compare it to saying a dictionary is troublesome.
Oh, okay.
Like a dictionary itself can't cause trouble,
Yep.
right?
It's just words.
Yeah, it's just words.
It's neutral.
Yeah, it's only when we decide that certain words are upsetting or, whatever, that we create the disturbance.
I get it. So it's not the thoughts themselves. It's my relationship to them.
Exactly.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's a subtle, but really important distinction.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, okay, if I'm always kind of in this old mind,
Yeah.
judging my thoughts, how do I get out of that?
Well, that's where new mind comes in.
New mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not about stopping thoughts altogether.
That sounds impossible.
Yeah, that's pretty much impossible.
Yeah.
But imagine if you could approach your thoughts without judgment.
Okay.
Just observe them like clouds passing by. That's the power of new mind.
So it's like a different way of relating to your thoughts.
Exactly.
Right.
It's about shifting your focus to the awareness itself.
The awareness.
The awareness that's experiencing those thoughts.
So wait, it's not about disassociating or like ignoring my thoughts?
Not at all.
Okay.
It's more about becoming aware of the awareness.
Okay, that's kind of trippy.
It is. It's like shifting from being lost in the content of your thoughts to recognizing the space in which they arise.
The space in which they arise. Okay,
Yeah,
I think I'm starting to see where this is going, but
Yeah,
this source material gets pretty radical.
it does.
It even questions concepts like original sin karma and reincarnation.
Heavy stuff.
Yeah, that's like really big stuff to question.
It is. And, the speaker views these as points of view,
Okay.
that when we cling to them, they can actually limit our potential.
Okay, so for example, karma.
Yeah.
How could that be limiting?
Well, the speaker argues that clinging to the idea of karma can lead to a sense of helplessness.
Oh, so like, oh, this is happening to me because of something I did in a past life.
Exactly.
So there's nothing I can do about it.
Right. It can even lead to a justification for suffering.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's almost like we're giving up our agency
Yeah.
by saying that everything is predetermined.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's that part in the material where the speaker talks about people starving in Africa and how explaining that as a result of bad karma from past lives is just not acceptable.
Right.
They say there are enough resources in the world to feed everyone,
Yeah.
and clinging to this idea of karma as the explanation is just avoiding the real issues.
So it's like we're using karma as an excuse
In a way, yeah.
to not take responsibility.
Right. It's a really provocative statement.
It is.
It challenges us to consider whether these age-old beliefs are actually holding us back.
From creating a more just world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just about personal enlightenment anymore.
It's about engaging with the world.
Right.
And taking action.
Exactly.
Okay, so if we're not supposed to cling to these old beliefs, what are we supposed to do instead?
Right. What's the alternative?
Yeah, okay, so if we're not supposed to cling to these old beliefs, like, what are we supposed to do instead?
What's the alternative, right?
Yeah, like what does the speaker actually suggest we do?
Well, they call it resting imperturbably.
Resting imperturbably.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of intense.
It does sound a little intimidating.
Right. Yeah, what does that even mean?
So basically, it's about relaxing completely into the awareness that's like the root of all experience.
Say.
Instead of fighting with your thoughts or clinging to beliefs,
Right.
you just let everything be just as it is.
So it's not about achieving some special state of mind.
Not at all.
Okay.
The speaker emphasizes that this isn't some kind of trance or altered state.
Right.
It's about recognizing the awareness that's always present,
Oh, okay.
the awareness that's aware of all your thoughts and experiences.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it, but it still sounds pretty passive. Like if I'm just resting,
Yeah.
how does that actually change anything?
That's a really good question, and I think a lot of people struggle with this.
Yeah.
But the speaker's very clear that this is not passivity.
Okay.
It's actually a very direct path to experiencing the true nature of reality.
So it's like by letting go, you actually gain more clarity.
Exactly. It's counterintuitive. But the speaker says that by resting in this awareness, you start to see through all the mental clutter
Yeah.
and the limiting beliefs that have been holding you back.
Okay.
They even share their personal experience of having, like, a really profound shift in understanding through this practice.
They talk about how they came to understand things like karma and original sin in a whole new light.
Right. It's like those concepts stopped being rules to live by
Yeah.
and became just different ways of seeing the world.
That's really interesting. And what's even more fascinating is that the speaker's not just talking about their own experience.
Right. They mention a teacher who has helped over 100,000 students achieve a similar realization
Wow.
simply through this practice of resting in awareness.
That's a lot of people.
It is.
It makes you wonder if we've been like overcomplicating things all along.
I think that's one of the key takeaways here is
Yeah.
like we've been searching for answers in all the wrong places
Right.
when the truth has been right here within us all along.
The whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I can see how this would be a difficult concept to grasp.
Oh, absolutely. Especially for someone who's really attached to certain beliefs.
Right.
You know, the source material introduces us to Anil, and he's really struggling with deeply ingrained beliefs about karma and reincarnation.
It's a lot to process.
Yeah, it's a lot to process and to let go of.
Yeah, it's like we were saying earlier, those beliefs can feel like a safety net,
Right?
even if they're not really serving us.
Exactly. And the speaker offers some really compassionate advice to Anil, you know.
Oh, that's good.
They emphasize that doubts and resistance are totally normal,
Yeah.
especially when you're challenging these long-held beliefs.
It's a big shift in perspective.
It is. It's a huge shift.
So it's not about forcing yourself to believe anything new,
Right.
but rather about creating space for
Exactly.
a new perspective to emerge.
Yeah, just allowing that possibility.
Okay, I like that. And did the speaker offer any like practical support for this process?
They introduce what they call the four comforts.
4 comforts.
Yeah.
What are those?
So those are the practice itself, the teachings, the community, and the teachers.
So it's like you have this whole support system.
Yeah, you're not alone in this.
Yeah, to help you on this journey.
Exactly like climbing Mount Everest.
Oh, yeah.
You wouldn't want to attempt that alone,
You
right?
need a Sherpa.
Exactly. Having a guide and a community can make all the difference.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So that's the support side of things.
Yeah.
But the source material also talks about like the importance of using symbols that are universally relatable.
Yes. The speaker talks about moving away from focusing on specific deities or idols.
Okay.
And they suggest focusing on the concept of space as the ultimate symbol.
Space.
Yeah, like the vastness of space.
Okay.
Because everyone can relate to that concept,
Right.
regardless of your background or beliefs.
Because it's something we all experience directly.
Exactly. It's the most fundamental reality that we all share.
Interesting.
And they compare their teachings to like a 247 convenience store,
Okay.
always available whenever you need support.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a great analogy.
It's very accessible.
Exactly. It highlights the accessibility of this path.
Yeah, for sure. And it challenges the idea that enlightenment or liberation is something that's like exclusive or difficult to attain.
Yeah, it's not about being special or chosen.
Right.
It's available to anyone who's willing to do the work.
Yeah, it seems like the speaker is really trying to demystify this whole process
Absolutely.
and make it accessible to as many people as possible.
That's definitely the vibe I get.
They even talk about the need for a common language
Yeah.
and a shared understanding of who we are as human beings.
Yeah, like finding that common ground
Yeah.
that connects us all.
It's like they're building bridges between different cultures and traditions
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to put it.
and finding common ground in this shared experience of awareness.
Exactly.
Okay, so speaking of shared experiences, this brings us to like the role of the teacher,
Yes, the teacher or guru.
which comes up quite a bit in the material.
It does, yeah.
So what do they say about that? Is it necessary to have a guru?
Well, they actually address this head on, and they say the traditional concept of a guru might not resonate with everyone,
Okay.
but they emphasize that the essence of what's called guru's grace.
Guru's grace.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can actually be found in complete rest.
Oh, so you don't necessarily need a person to be your guru,
Right.
but rather the experience itself.
You got it.
That's interesting.
And they encourage Anil to see everything, including the teacher, as an expression of that awareness.
Okay.
Like the teacher becomes a mirror, reflecting your own true nature back to you.
That's beautiful.
It is. It's a really powerful image.
But what about all the people who have achieved profound realization through traditional practices that do involve gurus and deities?
Right.
Are they doing it wrong?
The speaker acknowledges that those paths are valid,
Okay.
but they say that ultimately all paths lead to the same destination.
Which is...
Resting in awareness.
So it's not about the specific path, but rather the destination.
Exactly. And they even mentioned that resting in awareness has been the most effective path for the majority of people throughout history.
Oh, wow.
Remember that teacher who helped over 100,000 students?
Yeah.
That's a testament to the power of this approach.
It really challenges our assumptions about what it takes to find true freedom.
It does. But what about Anil and his attachment to karma and reincarnation?
Yeah, he seems pretty stuck on those
He
ideas.
does.
Yeah, he seems pretty stuck on those ideas.
He does, but the speaker encourages Anil to view those beliefs as points of view just like any other thought. You know, the more he rests in awareness,
Yeah.
the more clarity he'll gain about the true nature of these concepts.
So it's not about rejecting those beliefs outright,
Right.
but rather like approaching them with a sense of curiosity and openness.
Exactly.
Hmm.
You know, just seeing them as part of the whole tapestry of experience.
Okay, and the speaker even shares their own journey
They do.
of coming to a profound understanding of these concepts through this practice.
Yeah, they really emphasize that this is not just theory for them.
Right.
It's something they've lived and experienced firsthand.
That being said, the speaker also seemed to have some pretty strong opinions about the limitations of these beliefs.
Oh, yeah, they definitely don't shy away from that.
Like that bit about people starving in Africa being due to bad karma.
Right. They just don't buy it.
It's a bold statement.
It is. It's like they're saying we're abdicating responsibility.
Yeah.
There are enough resources to feed everyone.
Right.
And saying it's all due to karma from past lives is just avoiding the real issues.
So it's like we're using karma as an excuse
In a way, yeah.
to not take action.
To not engage with the world and try to make things better.
Yeah, that's a really powerful challenge.
It is.
It forces you to look at these issues from a completely different perspective.
Yeah, it's not just about personal enlightenment anymore.
It's about taking responsibility for the world around us.
Exactly. And the speaker is saying that resting in awareness can actually help us do that more effectively.
So it's like this whole approach integrates both the inner and the outer worlds.
Yeah, it's not about escaping reality.
It's about being fully present and engaged with whatever arises.
That's a key takeaway for sure. And what's really fascinating is this idea that everything, even the stuff that seems negative, is ultimately an expression of pure awareness.
Whoa, that's a mind bender.
It is.
So even my anxieties and frustrations are somehow part of this pure awareness.
That's the invitation here.
Okay.
To shift from a mindset of judgment and resistance to one of radical acceptance and openness.
It's complete paradigm shift.
It is. It's a radical shift in perspective.
Okay, but how do you actually do that?
Right. Sounds like a tall order.
Yeah.
Well, the source material suggests that it's not about achieving anything, but rather about recognizing what's already present. Awareness is our true nature.
Okay.
It's always accessible regardless of what's happening in our lives.
So it's like we already have the key to mental freedom.
We do.
We just need to remember how to use it.
Exactly. And that's where the practice of resting in awareness comes in.
Right.
It's about shifting our attention from the constant chatter of thoughts and emotions
Yeah.
to the awareness that's experiencing them.
So it's not about eliminating those thoughts and emotions,
Yeah.
but rather about changing our relationship to them.
Right. Think of it this way. The thoughts and emotions themselves aren't the problem.
Okay.
It's our attachment to them, our resistance to them that creates suffering.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's like we're adding fuel to the fire.
By resisting.
By resisting, exactly.
It makes you wonder what would happen if we just allowed those thoughts and emotions to be
Yeah.
without judgment.
What if we could just rest in the awareness that's witnessing them?
That's the experiment.
It is.
that the source material is inviting us to undertake.
To rest in the present moment without trying to change or control anything.
It sounds terrifying and liberating at the same time,
It does, doesn't it?
letting go of all those attempts to manage my experience and just be present with whatever arises.
That's the paradox of true freedom, isn't it? It's found in surrender, in letting go of our need to control.
Wow, okay, so let's bring this home for our listener.
Yeah.
What does all of this actually mean for them?
Right. Should we all be abandoning our beliefs and just sitting around resting in awareness?
Yeah,
Well, the speaker never actually suggests that we abandon anything.
okay.
They simply offer a new perspective, a new way of seeing things.
So it's about adding another tool to our toolbox,
Exactly.
not throwing out the whole box.
Right. And the beauty of this tool is that it's available to everyone.
It's a universal key
I love that.
that unlocks the door to mental freedom.
It reminds us that the potential for liberation is always present within us.
Yeah.
We just need to remember to turn the key.
So maybe it's time to take a deep breath,
Yeah.
let go of judgments, and just be present in this moment.
See what unfolds.
Who knows what you might discover?
You might surprise yourself.
And that's it for this deep dive.
That was a deep one.
It was, if any of this resonated with you, try taking a few moments each day to simply rest in the present moment.
Yeah, just see what happens.
See what unfolds.
Yeah.
You might surprise yourself.